and learn and go, oh, because, well, they want Islam to be bad in every single respect, and it has ill intent. But when we look at Judaism, look at what happened in the war in 70, right? Before the war in 70, you had certain Jews who were willing to fight. I mean, they literally believed in God's kingdom coming and were hoping that the angels of God would come out of heaven and help them defeat the Romans, or God was going to finally set up the Jewish state to rule the world. Why? Because there are prophecies that say one day, the mountaintop of Zion will be, above all the nations' mountains, and there'll be the nations coming and grabbing the coattail of 10 Jews and say, teach us your ways, So they're coming from, if I was them born in their household, I would probably think this is justified and this is good and this is holy war. But most Jews were totally content living in the empire. We're totally happy in the diaspora, out here enjoying life and saying, chill out, guys, stop. Now, if we wanted to be disrespectful to Judaism, we would then say, and there are people who do this, Judaism is at its core, wants to rule the world, which we have these weird conspiracies out there that Jews somehow rule the world right now, even though they make up less than 1% of the world's population. It's like they rule the world. There's a conspiracy here, and they really want to destroy us all. So at the end, you're either going to become a Noahide, become a Jew, or get your head cut off or die. It's always some conspiracy. So we shouldn't paint because certain minority groups that are radicals do certain things, and then we want to paint everybody else like they're all like that. It's an analogy I figure I'd paint. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'd like to speak to that a little bit.
Please.
That view is a bit of a Christian projection on Judaism, because actually I wrote a book about this as well. It's called Holy War. It's called Holy War in Judaism. It's maybe I didn't see it. You might not have it there.
Holy War. Yep, here it is.
Holy War in Judaism: The Fall and Rise of a Controversial Idea. That's right. So. The Jews were Judaism, or a Jewish practice among Jews in the biblical period, was pretty militant.
Okay.
But the militancy was really to establish a safe haven for monotheism. It was the only monotheist gig in town. That's it. There wasn't anything else. And it wasn't all that much fun. God was a spiritual notion. There were no idols. There was no worship. There weren't supposed of idols. There wasn't anything concrete to hold on to. There were no kind of fertility rites that were connected with the fertility goddess that would inseminate the flocks and the crops. So they would engage. We know about this in the biblical and extra biblical literature. Engage in kind of fertility rites of like public displays of sex, to kind of get the gods or goddesses turned on so that their sperm and eggs would come down and fertilize the world. That's exciting. That's fun. That didn't happen in biblical monotheism, right? In pre-Jewish Israelite monotheism. And they were a very small community, and it was easy to become influenced by the communities that lived around it. So the militancy in the Hebrew Bible, if you look at it carefully, militancy in the Hebrew Bible, you don't even have to look at it that carefully. You don't have to like cherry pick for this. It's overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
The militancy in the Hebrew Bible, and it was quite militant and quite violent, was to establish a safe haven in one place, the Holy Land, the land of Israel, the place in that area where they could worship undisturbed. It was not to conquer other countries. In fact, there are verses in the Torah itself that say, God's saying, I didn't tell you to go conquer these people. This is their land. This is not your land. You conquer this land. And this land needs to be free of idolatry. And the references in the prophetic works that you were citing for the whole world kind of coming to know God, is not really, not a militant or a conquest or an imperialist reference at all. It's a kind of an aspiration that maybe someday let's say with confidence, someday everyone will come to realize there's one God. Right. So it really is not it never was a missionizing religion. And partly because there was no notion in the ancient Jewish perspective that non-Jews would burn in hell. That didn't exist.
I like this. This is
They
cool.
didn't worry about other people. You do it your way, we'll do it our way. That was the position that was overwhelmingly the position in the Hebrew Bible. The notion of reward and punishment in an afterlife is virtually non-existent in the Hebrew Bible.
Right.
Some people refer to the revival of the bones in Ezekiel as a kind of a reference to the world to come, but that's really not. It's really a reference to a revival of the people of Israel.
Right.
When they regain sovereignty again and reestablish a commonwealth. So, yeah. So
No, I love this.
Yeah, some of the stuff